Good evening, everyone. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, maybe I should have said, how's the Josh? You know, it's been an amazing day, and I hope you feel the same way. I think today we've seen some really good conversations around, really substantive things for our ecosystem. From not only deep tech and AI, but R&D, how to build a world-class research ecosystem, patient capital, having sovereign technology, and so on and so forth, right? So this is our final session, and we hope it lives up to the day, and no pressure to us. But in any event, it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome Dr. Ajay Chowdhry. He needs no introduction. In fact, I was just seeing Dr. Ajay, next year will be 50 years since HCL got co-founded, right? So let's have a round of applause. 50 years. And I've got to know Ajay ji a little bit over the last few years, but one thing, he's been relentlessly pushing the agenda for our tech ecosystem for innovation, for 50 years and more. He's right now the chairman of the National Quantum Mission. He's part of the board of the National Semiconductor Mission. He's fondly called the father of Indian hardware. He's a Padma Bhushan awardee, and so on and so forth, So welcome, Ajay ji.
Thank you.
So let's start with the first question. Maybe it'll be worth rewinding those 50 years and talking about how you started HCL. What's the personal journey been, and how it dovetails with the evolution of our tech ecosystem and where we are today. Let's start with that.
Well, fortunately, I've seen it from very close, the whole evolution of the IT industry in the country. We started in 1976 with 1.86 lakhs, 6 of us. And we created India's first hardware company, which became pretty big. And we used to design all our products ground up, though no technology imports were allowed then. And to make the product in India, we needed a license. And license Raj prevented us from starting. But we became a little more innovative. We went to UP government. They were sitting with a license. We got that license, created a company called Hindustan Computers Limited, and off we went. And we started with 4-bit computers, can you imagine? Went on to create 8-bit computers, 16-bit computers, Unix-based multiprocessor computers, and very advanced Unix products, which we then took to the US to manufacture and market. It's like coal to Newcastle, but we had the gumption to do that. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, and we pivoted to software. So that's how our journey started, from hardware to software. But one thing I want to mention is that in this journey, we saw lots of ups and downs because too many policy changes took place in the country. And as a result of that, an agreement with WTO got signed in 1999, which killed the hardware industry by 2005. Good news is that the last 8 to 10 years, it's been revived, and I'm very happy to see where it is today. But I must tell you that it took us just 10 years to be #1 IT company in the country, so 76 to 86. So
wonderful.
That's really where we are. And one last point I want to mention is that we have not forgotten our product roots. So about 7 years ago, HCL Technologies got back into software products, bought out IBM software products for $1 billion. And today, we are $1.6 billion in just software products. We are the largest software product company in the country and the 18th largest in the world.
Fantastic. And what's the valuation of HCL today?
Don't ask that.
It's pretty high.
It's a little embarrassing.
No, it is pretty high. And Ajay ji, can you talk about the electronics industry, which you've been pushing for decades now, right? And you've been very instrumental there as well.
So since I was deeply involved with electronics and technology right up front, I started advising the central government on many areas and literally wrote most of the electronic policies for the country. Unfortunately, they didn't get followed up. And only bits and pieces of that got implemented over the years. One of the things I had said right up front is that one particular day, you will see electronic bill will be higher than the oil bill. And it's pretty much happening because our imports are so huge today. And therefore, we need to be very wary of the situation that we are in today.
That's fantastic, history. And, fast forward today. I mean, when you look at our tech ecosystem, everything we heard, through the day. And you were saying you were following all the social media feeds. What excites you today in terms of where we are and what the opportunity is ahead?
You see, one of the interesting things that Nasscom has done is to very strongly advocate moving from services to products. And that's why we are here today. And I think that has been the reason why I feel very confident that we are at the right place at the right time. Today, if you look at it, the services industry is facing headwinds. And that is something that is definitely, it would have happened since the time, OpenAI came in. It was quite obvious. And so I think today what I see is tremendous enthusiasm in the country around products. So I see so many drone companies, I see so many space tech companies, I see so many companies that are actually designing things and making things in India and manufacturing them. So this is the big change that's taking place. The recent 5-7 years of electronics have been all about services. But the movement towards design has taken place. As a matter of fact, I gave a recommendation to the government last year that we must now create a completely different model of actually going towards products. And that, I think, hopefully will happen. But I'm seeing tremendous amount of excitement today. And what was thought of that DeepTech will not get funded is wrong. DeepTech is being funded and is being supported, but I think a lot of support is required from the government.
Fantastic. And, let's jump to one of the most exciting areas among that, which is quantum, which you've been driving for a number of years now. Can you tell the audience about the quantum mission, where we are at, and how startups here, many startups, any startup here working on quantum, raise of hand? I think I met someone in the hall, maybe they're gone. What should people look forward to from the mission?
You see, as far as the quantum mission is concerned, we have set up 4 hubs all over the country, one for computing, one for sensing, one for materials and devices, and one for communication. Now, each of them have been set up in 4 large institutions. What we are actually working on as a task is that we will not do research for the heck of doing research. The research must lead to products. So that is the direction that NQM has taken. Each and every hub has signed an MOU with us. Every 6 months they will get reviewed, and depending on where they stand, they will continue to get funds or they will not get funds if they're not on task. So really we want to make sure that we create products out of India. Our target is to create a 1,000-qubit computer. Our target is to have quantum communication networks up to 2,500 kilometers, both in space and fiber, both quantum secure. Then we have many products that we are working on in sensors. So sensing is going to be a huge advantage for the country as we fight the next wars. But I want to mention that even during this war, quantum technology was used. So quantum communication, quantum secure communication happened. And what we are now looking at is that many people thought that quantum computer attacks will not take place on cyber security. But everybody thought it will happen somewhere around 32 or 35. I'm sorry to tell you that the whole situation is changing. And we expect that we could be vulnerable to quantum computing attacks from countries like China pretty much by 2028. So what we are now working on is to give a policy to the whole country and ensuring that all our grids, all our electric grids, financial systems, defense systems are made quantum secure. And we are also advising people that there is a concept which is now being used quite strongly, which is harvest now and decrypt later. So as a matter of fact, people should start worrying about their data today. So this is something that we are quite particular that will happen. But the good news is that we've had phenomenal response from startups. Close to 100 startups applied when we actually put out the scheme for startups. And this is the most generous startup scheme in the country. We give up to 30 crores per startup, and maybe in special cases up to 50 crores. We don't ask them to give their house against that. which is something that all governments have done all over the country. This NQM, we are doing it differently. We are saying, when you go for an exit tomorrow, you give us 30% discount on what you are selling, getting as a valuation, and the government has the right to take a stock in your company. So I think that's the way we have protected the government money. But this is a very unique scheme, and I encourage all people around here to start to look at applying for our startup scheme. Originally, it was kept as you could apply today, and you got a date by which you have to apply. But now it's every month. So we'll be advertising every month, and people can apply.
It's amazing. 30 to 50 crores per startup. I mean, this is true patient capital.
We have led two of the companies that we have given money, we led the round. And VCs followed. So our whole thinking was that if we can tell VCs that we believe in this company, we believe in this product, VCs will definitely invest. And that's the way we have to go.
Yeah, the co-funding model really makes sense. Yeah. I think that's a great start. Ajayji, the Semiconductor Mission, on which you're the board of, can you tell us where we are at, what startups here can expect, even large companies trying to build semiconductors?
Actually, that's a area where we have done pretty good work in the last 3-4 years. But it's still very early days. We're in the process of setting up fabs, we're setting up OSATs, and we'll have good organizations actually being able to manufacture. But that takes time. It takes 3 to 5 years to set it up. OSATs will come up faster, but the fabs will take another 2 to 3 years. However, we also are setting up an R&D facility where we will actually develop semiconductor processes in semiconductor complex. So we are upgrading it to make it an R&D lab. The other thing that we are doing is the DLI scheme, which is design linked incentive scheme. But it's not been very successful. So our thinking now is to go towards DLI 2.0, which will be announced in ISM 2.0, which we expect to be announced in October, November. And in that, we have recommended that we should take the funding up from the just 30 crores per chip that we had till now to 100 to 200 crores per chip. And I think that is absolutely a requirement, because otherwise we'll genuinely not make real chips. And the other thing that we have recommended, we've created a list of 30 chips that are used in India. And we've told the government, create the market for these chips. And the way to create that market for these chips is to ban Chinese chips. And if we can ban Chinese chips, make these 30 chips in India, then there'll be a market which we will create for the fabs. And I think that's essential. But just doing chips is not good enough. We are also talking about systems. So system to chip to fab is the story that we need to create. Because who will buy the chips? Chips have to be bought by system companies. Right. We don't have Indian brands. Right. So this is something that we need to create. And this is something that Karnataka state or Andhra state and all these states should start to work on creating system companies in addition to fabless companies. Already there are a great amount of system capability in Karnataka today. Phenomenal amount of fabless capability, but we are not using it for the country. We're just exporting that capability.
This is really amazing to see the government putting so much focus and investment. I mean, this is really great news. Ajayji, the RTI Fund, which was announced recently, there's been a lot of announcement, and I think people are very thrilled. I think 1 lakh crore or something like that. And I think now, startups are very excited. I think the next question is, when can we get the money? How is it going to be dispersed? What will be the mechanism? Anything you can talk? And I know Ajayji has been very instrumental in helping the government on that fund as well. I think that's, a news we've been waiting for a very, very long time. So, thank you for all your efforts there. So anything you can share there?
Well, actually, we started on this journey about close to 2 years ago. 15, 20 of us got together, and we formed a little think tank. And we studied the models globally. And we figured out that the model that was followed in America was whenever Bush, 1944, wrote his manifesto, he specifically said the only way the US can be going fast forward is to do R&D, science, and technology. And that's how DARPA got set up, NSF got set up, and Silicon Valley got formed later. Okay? So NASA got set up as a result of that. Now, how did DARPA work? DARPA didn't have 500 people or 2,000 people sitting there. 150 to 180 people, just project managers, giving out projects to startups and companies and saying, we are giving you this challenge, you make this product, and if you make this product, we'll fill you up with orders. Now, this virtuous cycle of actually giving the business created the whole Silicon Valley. And this is something we just do not do in this country. Our government is not open to giving enough business to startups to actually fill them up with business. And this is why we are not actually able to grow our startups. So this is something that when we proposed this to the government close to about a year ago, the government decided that yes, R&D in India is so badly lacking that we need to fund the private sector. We need to nudge the private sector. Because private sector is not investing in R&D, only government is spending on R&D. So I think that change has occurred. The 1 lakh crore is specifically meant to fund private sector, both large companies, SMEs, and startups in areas that are defined by the government. So there we have worked with the government on defining close to about 12 to 14 areas. They will finally select which of those 12 to 14 areas that we need to work on. And in that, what we want to do, our dream is that in 10 to 15 years, we must be in circle of 5. That is, one of our companies in different technologies will be among the top 5 in the world. And the only way we can do it is if private sector comes forward. So that nudge and that message I want to give for the private sector, because that is essential. We have not done it till now.
Any, again, on the time frame, any sense for when the funds may start getting dispersed?
Well, actually, the good news is that out of the 1 lakh, see, the 1 lakh crore has been created as a 50-year zero interest money. So it actually is not 1 lakh crore, it's much, much more. It'll be dependent on the team that actually implements it. But the way we are looking at it is that this year itself, 20,000 crores has been put inside Department of Science and Technology already. It's allocated. That means they have to spend 20,000 crores by April next year. So imagine that in the next 2 months, you should be seeing call for startups, SMEs, and corporates to actually join hands with the government in working towards creating technologies. The government is going to be very liberal. So for corporates, let's say you need 1,000 crores for a particular product or a project, they will put in 500 crores. 50%. For startups, they will have 70-30. They will put in 70%. So this is something that we have been managed to sort of get the government to agree. And I think the government has been very forthcoming in making this happen. So we should start to see action on this by November. And by December, I think the fund of funds for 10,000 crores for startups will also get set up. So DeepTech startups will get phenomenal amount of support as a result.
That's amazing. I mean, this is going to be a big inflection point for our ecosystem, something we've been waiting for decades, actually. Yeah.
See, when has the government in the past ever put money into private sector? This is the first time. So it's a very big breakthrough.
Right. Thank you. Ajay, can you talk about, you spoke about quantum, semiconductors, some of the other, interesting technologies and startups you're seeing. Anything else that's caught your eye in the last 1 year that really excites you?
Well, actually, in our list of areas where we must look at very strongly is drones, very critical for the defense forces, as we discovered to our surprise during Operation Sindoor. We were pretty much on an edge at that stage. The second area that we have suggested is space, because space tech is something that is essential as we go forward. The third area that we are obviously is AI. The fourth area is biotech. The fifth area that we are looking at is EVs and batteries. And then, of course, telecom, very critical, because we've come to 5G, 6G, we now need to be in 7G, 8G, and we need to participate in the standards. And genomics. So these are the areas that I believe will get attention from the RTI Fund, and I'm seeing a lot of action here, because today there are, I think, 500 odd drone companies, or maybe 1,000. There are 300 space tech companies. So, all this action is happening. And what I want to mention to the audience here is that every part and every piece that you see of this technology, it has hardware and software. That's great news for our service companies because they know this area very well. ER&D is something that Nasscom has promoted in a huge way over the last 10 to 15 years. I know HCL is huge in ER&D, and I think ER&D will save us from the deluge of AI that is happening today. So I think this is an area where software companies may need to pay a phenomenal amount of attention to start to get into each of these areas and participate very deeply. And I also would like to see large amount of software companies putting aside some money for R&D. This is something, despite the fact that a large amount of software companies have huge reserves, we have not put any money into R&D. I would like them to put money into semiconductors. I would like them to put money into quantum. I would like to see them put money into creating software and hardware for automobiles. Automobile market for software and hardware is about $1 trillion. It's not small. Okay, it's huge. So this is something that we need to pay attention. Our attention has been so strongly towards software services that the big area that we ourselves created, ER&D, we are not putting enough attention to it. And I think that is an area which I would really urge people to work on.
I think we're out of time, but any final call to action, Ajayji, to the audience, to startups, or services companies, GCCs? We have several investors here. We have research and academia. We have business leaders here. Any final call to action?
I think as a country, we must very clearly realize that we are in serious trouble. Because moment we are in serious trouble, we really do well. So when COVID happened, we created products which never existed. So I think we are now in serious trouble. Because Trump is jumping up and down. Who knows, tomorrow it will be 100% tariff. So this kind of thing that is happening where every country is on their own. So if we have to be on our own, we have to be very clear about one thing. We must own our own technologies. And this is a subject I saw, it was discussed during the day also, and Rajesh talked about it also. Technology sovereignty is something that we must create on our own. The capability in this country exists to do all this. What is our biggest benefit? We are not great in manufacturing, but we have great minds. And so if we work on design and work towards creating our own technology, Trump is threatening us with all kinds of things. Tomorrow, I'm just give you an example. If I say, okay, Amazon is going to be put 25% duty. What will happen to Amazon? If I put 25% duty on Oracle, what happens to them? So I would like the Oracles and the Amazons and the technology companies that are operating out of India, taking benefit of India, to support India at this stage. Can they not go to the US government and say, hey, you are doing disservice to a country which has been greatly beneficial to us? Among the top 10 companies in the world, all tech companies in the US are having Indians working for them here, 50,000, 20,000, 100,000. I want to see these companies being part of India, not being outside India. In the past, I remember Microsoft, Bill Gates actually went up to the earlier presidents and said, don't screw around with H1B. And the government listened. Hey, why is it that now these American companies working out of here, giving us terrific business, and we are giving them business, they're not standing up along with India to support them. And I want all of them to stand up and say, we will support India.
Well said. Technology sovereignty becomes a national priority today. I think we're out of time. I think we could go on and on. But Ajayji, I really want to thank you for jumping on a plane, coming here, braving the Bangalore traffic. And most of all, for your lifetime of service, leadership for the nation, for driving our tech agenda forward. Like I said, you've been driving it hard for 50+ years. and you're going very strong, so we wish you all the best. And you came up with your book, Just Aspire, about 2 years back. How's that gone?
Oh, it's a bestseller now, thanks to a lot of readers in the tech industry, because wherever I went to about 20, 25 cities where I was invited to talk about the book, and the tech fraternity just landed up in huge numbers. So it was so good to, and tech fraternity, not just the tech fraternity, but the startups landed up in a huge way. And I think that is something that I want to leave behind as a thought with everybody, my main thought in that book has been something that was guided by Dr. C.K. Prahlad. He always used to say, A is greater than R. If you have the aspiration, resources will happen. And that is really what the startup should think about.
Well, with that inspiring message, we'll close this session. Thank you again, Ajay ji, and thanks to the audience.
Pleasure being here.